Good morning.
Hello. It's a hot one today.
Bright and hot, really hot.
Yes. Yes, I am hiding today so I don't melt outside. So, I think everybody in the Cleveland area is going to be. Um, although I just saw somebody, one of our friends in California. Um, California, was it Georgia? There's so much talk already going on. It's great. Margie, yes, it is hot. Um, um, needless to say, yeah, super hot everywhere, it seems like. But like when my son yesterday, he's like, "You're gonna melt. You got to stay in. It's gonna be like 100 tomorrow." And I'm like, "In Ohio? No, it's not."
Yeah, but that's usually July, August weather. You know what? But the climates aren't changing. Heavens, no. How stupid is that? Yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Well, apparently, Linda Wolf's got it great. It's 75 and sunny in California.
Linda is so nice. She always makes comments, such nice comments, even on the YouTubes that I do on Wednesdays. And I appreciate that, Linda. Thank you for doing that. I really like some feedback like that. That's good.
Let's see. Hi, Brooke. Oh, yep. And it was Melanie in Georgia. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I bet it's really hot down there. Well, the middle of the country is horrible.
Yeah. Um, it just blew my mind, and I'm like, why in Ohio are we like that? Yeah, and it's the heat index that's really pushing us over. Um,
Yeah,
oh, so
even with the air cranked as high as it can, it's still not keeping the house that cold. It's just working too hard, I think.
hmm let's see. We a new friend, or not new, but it says long time no see. I'm back. Well, hello, but we don't know who you are. It's
We don't
just
know who you are. You're a bunch of numbers. Hi, numbers.
right. Though a comment before we even went live, and I always love it when because you guys, you can actually ask questions when you see the posting that we're going to be going live, that live event. You can already go ahead and put things up, and we'll see it as we're loading up and getting ready to go. And a very brave person said, "Hello, everyone. I want to be at work. I will be at work when this show starts. My wish is that to have every ghost come visit me." And I was thinking, that is a very brave thing to hope
Be
for.
very careful what you wish for. And I hope you're close because when it gets really bad, I don't go out of state anymore. Not very often. So hope it's close.
Like all the things that are going to go wrong.
Yeah, you ask for something, be careful what you wish for.
NC City, it's only 75 in Hong Kong today.
Oh, that's pleasant.
Let's see. Oh, Sandy is the first one to notice. Where are you, Marianne? Different background. And is your hair a different color?
No, and I hope somebody can give me this answer. This is this is gray hair. This is me. But when I'm on the other computer or the other computer is on, there's a light on me and the light makes all my hair brown. Why does that happen? Why does my hair look brown in the light, but when it's natural light, it's all gray like it's supposed to be?
And it's funny because nobody's ever pointed out the difference. Like, I just saw you this past Saturday.
Right, right. And I haven't dyed my hair now in over 3 years. So no, I don't know why. No, this is just my color of my hair now.
Right? Let's see. So for any of our new friends, feel free to ask questions in the comments section area there. If questions on earthbound spirits, negative energy, portals, fairies, what else, Marianne? All sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
That list goes on, and my mind just went bloop. because my book almost fell off the table.
Okay. Well, bring up the book, and that's what next Tuesday is, the book club. And there it is.
All my little
And
tabs going.
yeah, I got a few more than that, but it's good. There's some parts in this book that catch you. It's like, yeah. Some of it you go, okay. And then some of it's like, wow, I didn't even think of that. So that's good.
I just, and I don't know if I'm going to get that last little bit here done exactly in time. I mean, it's a good book. It's just a couple nights ago, Monday night on the store's YouTube channel, we did a book discussion or like review of some newer like witchy magical books. And it was me and like 4 other ladies, and I was trying to get through 2 or 3 books on top of this one, like all in time to do all these recordings. And I'm like, oh, I got how much time left to get through this? But it's been pretty interesting. I just got through the part where he was kind of comparing the shadow people to possible like aliens coming down. And, if you're not somebody that normally sees an alien, but all of a sudden the it's just right, is that what they are?
My opinion, no, but we'll see.
I think he kind of said the same thing, but, he's addressing every possible theory, what other people have asked him to consider, so I think he's done a pretty good job trying to.
He tells the people that are giving him their experiences with shadow people, he is telling that information very good.
Yes.
I mean, you
yes.
Yeah. So, and believe me, when people try to tell you stuff that's going on, it's so hodgepodge sometimes. It's like you're taking a word from this sentences because they're going, oh, and there's this, and oh yeah, and this happened too. And it's like, oh yeah. Stay on topic. Let's keep going here. So yeah, I think he does a good job.
Yes. So I still have a few, copies there at the store. If you are local and you want to jump in or want to put an order in last minute, well, if you order now, we'll get it out today for you.
You'll get it, yeah.
Time. But it's pretty interesting, and the author is going to join us. He'll get there at 7:30. Just previous things through the day and his travel time, but he will be there in person to ask questions and help discuss the book and how he did some of his research, how he met some of his people, and compare theories with us. So which I think is going to be the fun part.
That'll be nice, yeah, because it's always nice to go to the source. So yes. That's good.
Yes. That's not a hospital room. It's Marianne's office.
Oh man, no. It's definitely not a hospital room. No.
My guess with her, I'm like, is this your downstairs area? Like where you're?
No, we've been downstairs before too, but no, this is it. And that little sign behind me, my head is going to now cover, that says, when sweetness fails and tears don't work, bitch.
I like the sign. Right up my alley. Kim asks, is it wise to invite fairies into your yard? Will they provide plant and animal protection?
It's fine to invite them into the yard. Absolutely. And I don't think it's a protection that they do for plants and animals. I think it's more energy and, getting mites off of them and, this type of thing. The problem comes when in the fall, that all the work that you've done on your little fairy village, that you bring it in the house. That's where the problem starts. Mm-hmm. Because you just move them from where they want to be to a place that they do not want to be. So there's your problem.
Margie says, the quinseeds placed lower on my door seem to be working. Our feet are no longer getting poked.
See, sometimes you just have to adjust and I guess I don't really, you must live out in the country far pretty far out, Margie, to have all those critters wanting to come in to the house like that. That's all I can figure.
They might want to come in today when it's hot outside too.
Yeah, especially today, tomorrow.
So there's a lot of comments about how gorgeous your hair is looking, and to some it looks blue because it's the light blue.
And I didn't pink it or blue it. I don't do that. No, I'm not one of those blue old hair grade ladies. No.
No. I think if you were the sort, I believe, if you were gonna put blue, like it would be blue. It wouldn't be a hint. It's definitely a blue.
Yeah, no, if I was going to do blue, it would be the blue on this book.
There we go. See?
Yeah, that's what I would do. So there was no way I would do that. I'm a dull person. I'm really dull. I'm not exciting.
What's funny is what you think is dull, other people are going to be like, oh my God.
I know. I realize that. But sometimes I'm so envious of other people's lives. Good morning, Poodle Pants.
And I'm glad you got your books. Yay. And then Sapphire asks, have you met your relatives in Italy?
I have met some of them. When Grandma was alive, a lot of them came over and would stay. They don't come for a week. They come for 6 weeks. And so I did meet a lot of them. I met the ones that were the generations, the ones that originally started with the quince seed bushes, so I could get the quince seeds. So yeah, I've met a lot of them. I still get calls from Italy. If one of the paisans or goombas die, they still want to know the same thing that I can tell them if I go to a funeral here. So, but yeah, but everybody's getting older, and it's a fact of life. That's all that is.
Let's see. Yep. Wait. Let's see here. Lots of little. So Michelle asked, do all dogs see spirits, or are they like people where some do and some don't?
That's exactly right, Michelle. Some dogs are very tuned into it. Your dogs that are more guard type dogs, that you would put them in that category, they are obviously going to be more aware of it. Now, the in-between ones, not so much, but the little ones, the ones that are like under 10 pounds, the yippers, they can usually sense it too. But that's because you're always holding them, or they're on your lap constantly. So when you sense something, so do they then. So, yeah.
And a lot of people like your sign, and they're calling how truthful it is.
Yeah. Somebody, oh, wait a minute. What is that? Is it cross stitch that you do with the little thing with the holes?
Either that or like the embroidery or the.
Yeah. That's what somebody made that for me. So, yeah.
My mom, like way back when, I forget when she lost it, because in military moves things go missing, and she used to have a sign in the bathroom that said, if you sprinkle when you tinkle, be a sweetie and wipe the seedy. And I would just read it every time and I'm like, why do we have this? And now later on, as an adult, as a mother, especially of boys, and I'm like, oh.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
I need that sign.
Right. Some mom told me that I asked if I could use the bathroom before I left the house. She says, yeah, but go upstairs, she says, because the boys use the downstairs one. And I never know what's around there. So you better go upstairs.
Right.
And I just sort of looked at her, I guess that was the blessing with children, with girls, not so much. And she said, literally, she says, and she showed me, she opened up the bathroom door. The toilet was absolutely almost center in the walls. And he said, it was like a cell. There was nothing on the walls. And I says, gee, I says, okay, it's a toilet, the sink. And she said, yeah, she says, but there's nothing on the wall. She says, because I found out when the boys were standing there, they would look to see what's on the walls, and Their whole body would go that way. She said, so I just took everything off the walls.
Right.
It's easier. It's like,
The challenges of boys.
that's right.
Let's see. Um, there was a question about young people, and I'm having a hard time finding it because of all the fun chatter going on. But what is a good age to try and explain quinceads to young people?
When, again, parents are so much smarter now than before. When their kids talk about this, now they don't say, oh, you're a big girl, now there's no such thing. And, oh, don't talk like that. Kids are going to laugh at you. Parents listen to their kids now. And I think that's good. And if you listen, you'll notice when they're younger, they talk to a whole lot more, they play with them a lot more. But when they start school, it's not so much anymore. But if yours are the kids that are still talking about it in school and being disrupted at school, then at 9 years old, I still think I would still try to hide it somewhere on them. Here's the bottom line. The minute you tell your kids not to tell somebody about something, that's the first thing they're going to do. And if bring them up on it, they'll say, well, I only told my best friend, who
Right.
only told her mother, who told every other mother in PTA, which means now you've got people talking about you, and you don't want children's services showing up on your front steps. There are definitely cities in Cuyahoga County that if a kid went to school, and I'm not saying which city, so don't even ask, that if a kid went to school talking about a seed to keep ghosts away, the children's services would be on your front steps. So you have to think, is your child going to keep their mouth shut?
Right.
And that's it. Your kids, I don't.
Right. That could even be worse if we have any friends that are on military bases watching.
Oh, I bet.
Grew up on a military base, and there were so many spoken rules, and then there was the in between the lines unspoken that you don't say or do.
Right. And that, yeah. I never even gave that a thought, but yeah, you're right. You're right.
Our friend Christine says, can fairies change appearance when you walk up on them to hide? Will they suddenly kind of look like a mushroom or something blend in?
No, but I think it's really weird. I think a lot of little folk and a lot of fairies have the same ability that a chameleon has. If a chameleon is on a green leaf, they look green. If they're on a tree trunk, they look brownish. And I think there are some species of fairies that can do that too. So I don't think they change forms. I think they are what they are.
They just kind of blend in, or
exactly.
In my mind, I'm picturing that Homer Simpson where he backs into the bush
and disappears. Right. Yeah. Right. Exactly.
Christina asks, what are your thoughts on cryptids like the chupacabra or other rumored beings? Have you had any experiences with them?
Personally, no. But like I've said before, any of this folklore stuff, I think there is some truth to all of it. I mean, some person, 800 years ago just didn't think that up and start spreading rumors about it. It had to be more than one person involved. And because this shows up in different areas of the country, I mean, I think there is truth to it. But personally, yeah, no. And luckily I don't go tripping through and trumping through woods anymore. So
Sandy, back to our signs. She says she had a bathroom sign that said changing the toilet paper roll will not cause brain damage.
That's what kids think, doesn't it?
Well, see, love my son dearly. He'll get the new roll, but not put it on the spindle. It's sitting anywhere near around, and that little smart ass sometimes will set it on top of the empty thing on the like, you're doing this on purpose, aren't you? You were testing me.
But that doesn't bother me as much as somebody telling me that they used the last roll. That's what bothers me worse because I'll go ahead and get a new one and put it out. But if there's none there, you're in trouble.
Right. Jean asks, with earthbound spirits, do you see them as they were before they passed or how they looked at the time of passing?
At the time of passing. So again, if somebody before they got sick weighed around 180 pounds because of an illness, they're down to 100 pounds when they die. They are 100 pounds, but their color is good now. Their weight is low. If they didn't have hair because of treatment or something, they're still bald. So they look like they looked now. But when you go into the light, that's when you get all your healthy looks back, your hair, parts and pieces you've been missing. So yeah.
So in regards to like pets seeing and ghosts, animals seeing ghosts, Brooke says she feels like cats can see and sense them more so than dogs, maybe.
Yeah, but cats are, I don't know, and I have no idea. I don't know. Maybe their vision is better than dogs in some instances, but they are always looking around for spiders and for flies and in the house. And so I think they probably catch energy more than a dog does. And yeah, I agree with you. I think cats can be more sensitive to it, especially to ones that have crossed over. Because once they crossed over, they come back from the light to visit, they're usually high. And so when cats are looking up at like they're tracking a spider, they are probably looking at somebody from the light.
They're not just ignoring you.
No. There's better ways that they can ignore you than look at the ceiling.
Right.
But except when you've got them trained that every time one of them looks at the ceiling, you get up off the couch to see what they're looking at. They know that you'll do that if they stare long enough.
Right. So what about chickens? Pet chickens?
You know what? My daughter had chickens, and I don't think so. I don't know. I don't know how big of a brain a chicken has and what they're aware of. So I wouldn't take a guess. I don't think chickens are as stupid as turkeys. I know turkeys are really dumb birds. I mean, and when we lived in Worcester, for those of you that know Wayne County, our street was across from the OARDC, which was the Ohio Agricultural Research and Development Center. They're the place that actually had a cow, and they had half the cow removed in, I don't know how they did it with see-through, but you could actually watch the cow eat and watch milk being made. And the cow was alive. It was not gross. It was actually fascinating. But they also raised turkeys there. And you never saw people that worked in a place scramble so much if it was going to rain, because turkeys look up to see where the rain is coming from, and they literally drown. Rain will kill turkeys because they look up at the sky. So turkeys aren't real bright.
But they taste very good.
They do.
Let's see. Chrissy says, Marianne, just wanted to say thank you so much for helping my family ever since we got your help and put the seeds up. Things are wonderful.
Oh, I'm so glad, Chrissy. I figured I haven't heard from you, and one of these things is no news is good news. When I hear from people is when they usually have a problem, so I'm happy for you. Good going, Chrissy.
And Amanda asks, how do you astral travel? Can that be learned?
I don't know. I don't know. Are there books on astral traveling, Melissa? I have no idea. I suppose it can be learned. Ask yep. Shirley MacLaine. She'll tell you how to do it in her book. And remember when she says when you astroplane with her, you have to have a gold cord wrapped around your waist or you don't come back in your body. Not. So,
there are books, and I'm sure there's meditations all over YouTube. And I always recommend on some of these meditations, because they are free, listen to them without trying to actively do the meditation first. Listen to what they're saying. Do you feel comfortable? Do you trust what's being said or done? And give it a good listen while awake and conscious with it before you kind of lay down and zone out. It's like anything out there. There's no one way, one necessarily technique, but it can be learned. Some people do it naturally more easily than others, like
right,
drawing. Anybody can learn to draw, but
right.
some are just naturally easier to do it. But
Ted realized he could do it while he was sleeping,
mhm,
and he didn't have any control of it then. He just
right.
okay, but there are people that meditate and get to the state where you're so far under that you can say, I'm going to do this. I astroplaned when I was 4 and 5 years old. And how can a kid do that? I have no idea. And I hate it. I don't like to do it. I won't do it.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
astral travel pointer.
You know what he'll tell you to do? Have a beer and go to sleep. See what happens.
I paid attention that I can do it sometimes, and it's usually when I'm not trying, because it's not something that I normally have the spare time to actively do, unfortunately. But when I was noticing evenings or night, well, I would wake up in the morning and I would be more exhausted than when I went to bed, and would have very vivid type dreams. And when people who I hadn't spoken to or seen in a while are suddenly coming up and around, and I'm like, oh. And at one point, my friend Rhonda, who lived in another state, called me up the next morning because she's kind of into this. And she's like, "What did you want?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" So, but for me, if I'm astroplaning or astral traveling at night, without meaning to, I am more tired the next day because I'm not resting.
Right. That's the same thing that happens to Ted. That he's very, very tired the next day. And it was really funny. I remember one time we were doing something outside and he went to lift his arms up and it was like he had his arms over his head and he says, "My shoulders are killing me." He says, "I wonder what I did." I mean, both of them. And so,
Oh.
and later that day, he's thinking about it. He said, "I was astroplaning last night and I had my hands over the top of my head helping these people do something." So he was working wherever he was at and it actually felt on his shoulders.
Oh, no. See, that's I got into the habit for a while there that I would purposely tell myself, like, go to sleep. No, no playing, no visiting, like actually go to sleep, stay here. So it got to be more of an annoyance for me when it would happen, because running around all day, I want to sleep and then I'm more tired.
Right.
So yeah, I was like, no,
Yeah.
stay here, go to sleep. Let's see, a lot of people talking about it and saying Ted should give out a pointer class. Hello, Satsuko.
Wow, what are you doing here? It's not a Zoom.
I know. Like, I don't know if we've ever had her on a
I
Wednesday
don't
morning.
think so.
She's usually one of our regular friends on Zoom. Let's see.
Okay, now tell me this, Melissa, real quick. She comes on Zoom and it's morning by her. She's in Japan, by the way, for those of you who don't know. It's morning by her, so I wonder what time it is now. Is she checking in the middle of the night?
Oh, it could be. Yeah. What time is it there for you, Satsuko? Let's see. Lots of So, Marianne, Karen says, my daughter-in-law, Megan, has a demonic recording we would like you to hear. Do you accept those type? I know people can like send you pictures. Do you accept recordings and like audio?
If it's something that's on one of those little machines that can take a little tape that's about this big,
Mm.
I like a tape recorder, but I don't have a big tape recorder. It's a little. This size. They can send me something that can be played on this.
Okay. So Satsuko says it's about 11:30 p.m.
Oh, that's not too bad. Okay.
So Patrick says, when you asked to travel, did you pop up in your bedroom? And while you were out, did you hear like 10,000 people whispering or something?
No, never. And when you pop up in your bedroom,
He means
I
like when
think.
you actually come out, like did you pop up like maybe
Oh,
yours?
I don't remember coming out, and I don't remember going back in. I just remember being out flitting around.
Mm-hmm.
So apparently, it just must. I mean, you don't think about breathing right now. Are you breathing in, or are you breathing out? Well, see, I think it would be the same thing with this. All of a sudden, you're in your body, or you're not. For me, anyway.
At least when I was sleeping, like I don't remember when I came in or back. Sometimes when I was starting to pay more attention to it of why I was so tired, that falling feeling, I guess when I'm like, I'm like, oh, okay.
Right. Somebody else told me that, and it only happened to her at night where it's like, oh my God, you thought you fell out of bed or you thought you were falling. And and she figured it out. That was her coming back into her body when she astroplaned. But I never, and Ted did neither that I know of.
Yeah. And the one time I tried to do it purposefully during the day in the middle of the afternoon, and it's weird because I hadn't read any books on this yet at that time, but later on I had, where it talked about like how the spirit kind of comes up and out through like like around your belly button and in that area.
Your stomach chakra, right.
And it was weird. All of a sudden, like I was looking around the living room from that standing vantage point of coming up that way. And then I was also still kind of conscious back here and saw like a orange version of me standing there. And then I went, oh, I'm doing it. And I fell back. So
you shouldn't have said that. Right.
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 And I'm like, oh, okay, time to go do something else. Let's see here. So what is the mustard seed? Like there's some people talking about mustard seeds. They don't really do, as far as I know, like what quince seeds do. They were more of like a faith thing from my understanding.
Mustard seeds, a lot of people use mustard seeds for different things. The biggest thing that I know they used them for was apparently to bring in money. That if you carried a mustard seed and that you were usually in a little clear ball that women would wear as a necklace. And so, and I don't know where it came that mustard seeds bring money. I have no idea where that even came from. But yeah, that's what it's supposed to be able to do.
And see, that's what I was under. Rhonda says it was about Christian faith. And that was always my perception of the whole mustard, seed. But Patrick says when he came out of his body, he heard people whispering and it felt like someone was watching.
I don't know. See, I think it's different for everybody. I don't know. I think, and the other thing too is that how much do you remember? I mean, I don't know if you remember everything that you do if you are astroplaning.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. There's one of our friends here, and I keep trying to get to the very top of their question. Unfortunately, there's like three or four parts to it, and I'm having trouble finding the very beginning to like address this. But Heather says, I think an ex of mine may have astral traveled because he contacted me out of the blue to tell me he had a dream that I had been shot and he wanted to make sure I was okay. Should I be concerned? The dreaming and astral travel aren't.
No, okay, right now he contradicted himself. Because he had a dream that you'd been shot. But on the other hand, he says he wanted to make sure I was okay. No, I think he was just having a dream about you. There's a lot of people that, well, here's the thing. Think about this. Because he said that, it was enough to put you on edge. Would you call him? You sure that's what it wasn't about?
Hmm. I think this might be the beginning, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to find them all. Says, I have used my spirit board and nothing happened. Then I used my spirit box, and as I was sweeping, it says I have demons, which I recorded. The next night, a figure showed up as a burnt man with a grin. And I know you don't use spirit boxes. I don't have a good solid.
Okay, you need to tell me what a spirit box even is.
It's a lot of the times it's a radio that the dial's been adjusted and it sweeps constantly through radio stations. And so it sounds like garble, but every now and then you'll hear words come through. And ghost hunters will believe that that's a type of device that spirits can use to communicate back with you. My logical butt says it's just randomly picking up words as it's scrolling, and I forget what the condition's called, but it's also like the vision where you can make faces come out of things. So you might hear things that you want to hear. So if you want to be haunted, if you want to have ghosts, you will hear, in this scrolling of random garbled, and white noise, things coming through. Anytime that I've been on any investigations, because I have other friends that go out and do that and they use these things, they're like, oh, did you hear that? It said, I'm like, I heard nothing of the sort. I'm just hearing this annoying static constantly playing and talking over, and scrolling. But I will say, if you do have an earthbound who's been around for a while, why wouldn't they use that to mess with you? Why would they not go ahead and try to present themselves as a demon to be more scary and freak you out, which is going to put out more energy? Why would they not do that anyway? They're expecting you to expect to be scared.
Yeah. The thing is this: Hitler, Jeffrey Dahmer, those were all people that did demon-like things, but they still were not the devil.
Mm-hmm.
Again, you have to remember, Grandma started taking me to funerals when I was 4 years old. That's 70 years ago. In 70 years, if I have run across 5 at the most that I would actually consider demons, I think that would be a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not a big fan of people saying they've got demons in their house. The ghost may be acting like they're a demon, but it is not the devil.
Right. Back to the whole astral planing.
Oh, geez. We got to find a book on that for the book club.
I'm going to poke around. I've got a couple different titles that'll be at the book club for the like the reincarnation and things like that, for everybody to pick through. But Rhonda says, hey, I have a body and I want to stay in it for as long as possible. So,
smart girl.
And
keep that idea.
And Karen says, oh my God, if I have any more charms around my neck, I'm going to look like Mr. T. They'd be the fool. Let's see. Had a lot of talk of astral planning and traveling. What time are we at? Okay. I thought like, oh my gosh, watch it be over 11 and I lost track of time.
This was a very big, super strawberry full moon yesterday. So if anybody have any earthbound spirits in their house, you would have felt it this weekend. It would have been definitely more active because of all of that with the moon that was going on.
So Heather says, oh, I would love to read a book about reincarnation, things like that. So the book club that we have going, all you got to do is read the books. But we will be choosing between a couple books at the next book club. I've got Many Lives, Many Masters, and what's the other one coming in? I think it's the Between Death and Life. So everybody can pick which one everybody wants to read and talk about. You're more than welcome to buy both and read both of them, but the book club will discuss one. And we're going to stream it like we're streaming right now. So the next time you can join in and ask questions as you're doing now and be a part of it. We do know that in September, there'll be a book on Mercury retrograde. So maybe after we do our reincarnation, which I see we already had the recommendation for Astral Dynamics by Robert Bruce as a suggestion for an astral projection book. Maybe we'll do astral projection for the next.
Right.
So I like the recommendations. It gives me time to start seeing if I can even get some of these. So
somebody asked me, they came up to me at the grocery store and said, I want to know if we could do or find a book on fairies.
Okay. And there's quite a few out now.
Okay.
On which way we want to go with working with fairies versus magic with fairies versus I'd have to sit there and
I don't know. I'd have to see the titles to figure out which one. I would like to get something that's not too specific. I would like to find something that's a little bit more general.
Okay. Yeah. Well, Patrick, give us the fairy recommendation too.
Let us
start looking through.
And this is how we need suggestions from you guys.
Mm-hmm. I've got the Magic of Fae. There's the Fairy Craft, which is more of, magical workings with fairies. And I'm trying to picture my fairy display table at the store right now. What are the books that are laying there? And Patrick says the moon was amazing last night.
Yeah.
But
I couldn't see it at my house because of the clouds.
Yeah, that was kind of how it was here. And it was funny because it wasn't supposed to rain, but it smelled heavily of rain. The
air is so thick with moisture. My gosh.
Mm-hmm. Menace is a spirit box sounds like a certain ghost show. They're used heavily in a lot of these shows. Let's see. So we have Julie says, don't mess with fairies. Although coming up on the summer solstice around, the 21st, that I guess is a good day to work with them if you want to, but do it outside. I actually just recorded last night a podcast with Holly, who's local, and Mary, I think you got to meet her briefly. She actually teaches Celtic mythology in some of the local school systems, and so she's really big on this tradition and loves just the whole mythology in with the Fae as well. So we recorded a thing on Litha, which is the summer solstice coming up, and she's like, work with them and be nice and give them things. And, and then off camera, she's like, quit yelling at them. I'm like, well, they need to quit stealing my stuff.
Yeah. And for some reason, cream, milk, as far as something to give them that they like, they love birdseed too. If you've got a bird feeder in your yard, beside drawing skunks, you're probably going to have a lot of fairies around too.
So if you don't want skunks.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's gotten to be like in the store, if things are going missing or getting moved or whatever, I have like a bag of Smarties. And so you'll hear one of them like, where are the Smarties? They need it. And I'm mumbling, they.
Yeah,
They're like
right.
yelling at them.
Feed them, feed them.
Yeah, well, Liz says they love whiskey. They like alcohol. This is probably Lori because she's like, be nice.
Especially leprechauns. They will be in your bar area all the time. They love booze.
Leprechauns. What about the little grumpy gnomes? Are they more of the Irish coffee with coffee and alcohol together?
Believe it or not, they're big with ale. You'll find them in those type of bars, that more European bars that have ale more than, America has beer. They have ale. So
Hmm. So poodle pans at whoop, it jumped on me. So when I take my bird feeder in for the summer, do the little folk get mad?
yes, they do. But that's good because it's like when you take down your hummingbird feeder, they know it's time to leave, that they're not going to be fed all summer, all winter long. Well, the same thing with the little folk, and the fairies. When the feeder's gone, go move somewhere where it's warm, get away from the winter.
Okay. And are gnomes real?
Yep, they are.
It's funny. Everybody wants the sweet, lovely little fairies. I love the grumpy little gnomes. They're my people. I don't yell at the gnomes.
You don't yell at the gnomes. Yeah.
I actually, and I think I've told the story like maybe even last year, but I had like a concrete gnome in my
Yeah.
yard, and he was big, and somebody stole him, and I was mad, but I knew he was close. I could feel him, and I'm like, you're going to rip out power lines, you're going to mess with their water, you're going to mess with everything until they bring you back home. And the next summer, when I was out getting ready to put the dogs out for the morning time, he was just sitting right there, and I'm like, oh, yeah,
Came
you're
home.
home.
Welcome home.
Yep. Like, welcome back, buddy. I had to clean him off because they graffitied him stupidly, but it cleansed really good. But yeah, I like my grumpy little gnomes. I don't know why. I also liked being a home health aide for a while because I love old people and their stories. And I got the biggest kick when your prim and proper little old ladies suddenly would lose their temper and they started cussing. And I'm like, you just made my day.
And some of them are really good at it.
And you know, that I remember the song Losing My Religion. It was always about like how you get mad and you start cussing, but I never really heard it, like the term itself being used, until one of my favorite little old ladies, Miss Lena. And oof. But she's like, that old baby next door making me lose my religion. And I'm like, it's gonna be a fun day.
Yeah.
Oh, I love my little old ladies. They were great. So Rhonda, book suggestion, fairies, Working with Fairies by Andivas. Okay. Writing this down. William Bloom. I don't think I've ever ran into this one, so thank you. And Marianne, have you seen a fairy before? I know you have.
Yeah, I have. Yes, I have. I definitely have. I saw them inside of a house too. They were sitting on a chandelier in the dining room, and the chandelier had maybe 18 bulbs, and they were all on an arm. Like there was like all these arms that went up with the light on the top, and they were sitting on the little parts of the land. And I remember looking up. It's weird. I go to a house, I sit down and I look at the people. I don't look at the houses. And so this lady left the room for some reason to get something to show me. And so now I'm looking around and stuff, and I look up and I went, whoa. And I remember I rubbed my eyes and I'm thinking, what was that? And I looked up again, and there they were with their little wings fluttering, and it's like, oh my God, I've just lost my mind. I really thought I lost my mind. I see ghosts, but I lost my mind because when I saw a fairy, and and so she comes back, and I'm not saying anything. I mean, this lady got a ghost in the house. I'm not going to tell her
Of the fairies.
these little things flying around her head too. And so while I'm talking to her, I just couldn't help it. I kept looking up like this to see if they were still there. And she goes, "You see my fairies." I lost it. And I thought, oh my God.
I see nothing.
Right. So yeah, oh my God. She had, which, let me clear this up. She had an attached greenhouse on her house. And so they were comfortable in her house because they could go right into
Coming
the
in and out.
right.
I didn't see him. I knew I had him in the house for a while because after you cleared my house, like I called you and Ted back up, and I'm like, we've got a problem, you know. And they were doing the annoying things like kicking the underside of the bed just as you're falling asleep. But that one time in the evening, and I would chalk it up like I'm just falling asleep. That was the body relaxing, right? But when it was like 7:30 in the evening and I'm clearly awake, I'm I think I was reading a book and was kind of sitting to the side with my feet next to me, and the cat jumped up on the couch, and it felt like a little kid, probably about 3 or 4, because it's the amount of strength. It felt like a kid came up and just smacked the cushion between me and the cat, and I'm like, "Holy shit!" you know. And
And
Sid came out running.
that's not a fairy that did that. That was either a gnome or a leprechaun or a small troll. That would not have been.
That is not my grumpy little gnomes, man.
Oh, well, okay. Maybe he just had a bad day that day. I don't know.
But that's when I'm like, do we still somehow have, an earthbound in the house? And you're like, no, you got Faye. And so you told me, that recipe, and all it took was me gathering some of the live plants and just setting them out there on the porch. And I guess them hearing the conversation that they were like, okay, we're out. Like,
and sometimes that'll work too. Yeah. But the problem is there's no way, and I hate to say that, there's just no way to permanently keep them out, unless you go through the whole 6-month process of doing it. That's pretty much will take care of it. But boy, it's you're making a commitment.
Yeah. Well, and I've got somebody who mowed down a fairy circle and all sorts of things were going on in the house until I'm like, we got to start doing this.
And that's the thing. Have you seen, and be aware of these, because you've got probably bad little folk in your yard if you've got those fingers that come out of the ground.
Oh.
They're from rotted wood.
Mm-hmm.
And it's amazing sometimes. You have to be very careful when you take those out, because sometimes they like those, but they're so ugly you don't want them in your house, in your yard.
So it's funny. I found this and I saved it. The caption says, "This is why it was a mistake to replace all the old 70s metal playgrounds with safety plastic. Iron. You need iron or else."
Yeah, there you go.
So I'm like, well, now, if that isn't a trap.
That's right. That's exactly right. You don't want to walk in the circle of mushrooms, and you don't want to cut the mushrooms down with the lawnmower, believe me. Dead man's fingers. Yes, thank you, Sandy. That's exactly what they're called.
Yeah, and it's actually like a fungus.
It is. Yeah. And they are really ugly. Now, with all the rain that we're going to be getting, mushrooms are going to be plentiful in the yard. But like I said, the ones you got to look for that grow in a circle, those are the ones that are usually connected with the little people.
Oh, let's see. Dia says Muslim lore warns against women wearing perfume or wet hair around trees because the tree jinn may fall in love with her. Is there anything to that, like fairies or fae folk, or have you ran across that in some?
I've heard about the perfume, especially if it's very flowery. but I never heard the wet hair. Interesting. Interesting. Never heard that before.
Hmm.
Well, maybe, a tree. Maybe if it's a weeping tree, like a weeping willow or something, weeping cherry, because there's a lot of trees that are weeping. But
Right.
interesting. Yeah, I have to check that out. I'm curious now about that.
All right. So we don't mind skepticism, but you don't need to be, you know, behave or bye bye. Especially since we were nice and answered one of the questions for you. Um, let's see. So, what is your 5:30 video on today?
Just regular letters today, and tomorrow, for those of you that are up at 11 p.m., I'm on with Raleigh James on WGAN out of Chicago from 11 to 12, taking calls.
Mm.
So, and she's actually in Arizona, but so the show is aired across the United States, actually. But so tomorrow is the day I'll be on with Raleigh. And Saturday, the 25th, we have a meet and greet at the store and a talk after. So
Nice.
people,
Yeah.
people have been asking when we're going to start doing those again. So now that you've got the space, Melissa, we'll go ahead and do that and see how that goes.
Gonna use it up.
You bet.
Somebody's like, how come gnomes are grumpy?
I don't think all of them are. I think it's like people. Some are in a good mood, and some are in a bad mood. Some are mostly in a good mood. Some, till they stub their toe, then they're in a bad mood. So it just depends. You can't say one species of anything is bad unless they're poisonous snakes. Then they're bad.
Right. Somebody, and I just saw the comment and everything jump, but there it is. Poodle Pants says, we are removing dead man fingers every weekend. How should we keep the bad things out?
The only thing that I could think of there's really nothing that you can do to kill a fairy or anything like that. There's all you can do is get them out of your space. So I don't know. That's something I'm going to have to look into.
Yeah, I I don't see them just as grumpy. It's like I said, I actually really enjoy older people, and most gnomes are shown to be older with the beards and their hat and their big old ears, and I don't think they're all grumpy. But they're almost like that exact opposite, that polar to the happy fairy flitty fairies, and then you got your gnomes, like they're down here keeping it real. So I just like gnomes, but that's just me. And somebody asked if the smacking of the couch and the problem, if that was after my gnome came back. It did, but it was like a year or two after, so it wasn't really connected, unfortunately, to make it that easy to figure out. But I enjoy the gnomes, and their cute little beards and hats, which is ironically one reason why for years I had mini schnauzers, because of their beards and their little eyebrows. Because to me they look like fun little old people, and they're fun little dogs. I like mini schnauzers. So let's see. So, yep, already a little after 11. So come see Marianne in the store here on the 25th. Get your book signed, get some quin seeds if you need them, ask questions. You can bring in pictures for Marianne to look at and see. If you have recordings, I guess you can bring those to play.
Sure, bring those and let me hear those. That's a good idea to bring them there. And we still have room on the Zoom on the 27th, Monday at 7:30. So if you're around and you need to see what's going on in your house, come on Zoom and let's figure it out.
The Zoom, and on that 25th is the paid lecture later that day. So
Right.
if you want to stay after hours and get some more info, ask some other.
And Melissa, you disappeared. You're gone.
And we're back.
What happened?
Too many tabs. But we have the after hours event with Marianne on that 25th too. So that
Now bring the kids. Let me meet the kids between the 1 and 4. But after the talk, nobody under 18.
right. So good fun weekend with Marianne between in person and then the Monday night. So the gnomes got me. Too many tabs. I swear I am not ADD.
Yeah, to get rid of some of them.
I do. This is ridiculous. But thanks for joining us, everybody. Make sure you tune in on Marianne's channel later today at 5:30. Watch the video and
keep cool, and we'll see you next Wednesday.
Yeah,
bye,
bye guys.